What's going on YouTube? It's your boy Mike Lemon coming back at you with a video showing how I ended up treating my 75-gallon reef tank with Fluconazole. Now if you've been following my channel long enough, you remember a few months ago how my tank looked like this. Long strands of green hair algae everywhere, patches everywhere, and I blame it all on neglect. I wasn't really passionate about keeping my reef tank. I was away from YouTube for a little while and I just neglected the tank completely. Now after a while, I just got so fed up with seeing this stuff that I finally took my head out of my you-know-where and finally started doing my water changes. I was getting in the tank, doing 20-gallon weekly water changes, plucking manually. I was getting in there with brushes, trying to do everything I could to get rid of it, and it eventually looked like this. Now it's not as bad as it was, it's certainly not that bad, but if you really look, you'll see in all the little nooks and crannies of the tank, there is little spots of green hair algae everywhere. I tried my darndest to get rid of it and I could just never really get anywhere. So then after watching YouTube for a long time, Blaney was the one who ended up trying it and documenting it on YouTube. He worked on his, did the Fluconazole treatment for bryopsis, and it actually worked out really well. Then the next guy to try it out was Dave Lembo. He as well tried to treat the tank for bryopsis, and once again it worked out really well. So I will put the links to both their channels in the description so you can check out their experience using Fluconazole. So as you saw a second ago, I ended up ordering my Fluconazole from the same place that Dave Lembo did. Now that is paylesspetsupply.com. Now the recommended dose to treat your tank with Fluconazole is 1 capsule per 10 gallons of water volume. Now I have roughly 80 gallons in my tank, so I only needed 8 of them, but I ended up, you can buy them by the 10 pack, and it was only $20 for 10 capsules. So if this didn't work out, then I'm back to where I started and I only lost 20 bucks. Now as you see here, I ended up just getting a small cup and filling it up with RDI water. Then just open up the capsules, dump it in, and start mixing. As you see here also, it doesn't mix up that well, so don't get discouraged when the actual Fluconazole doesn't dissolve as well as you would hope. Now based on other people's experiences using Fluconazole, I ended up taking out the carbon out of my system, and I think I'm going to leave that out completely, but I also took the skimmer cup off of the actual skimmer, so I just let it overflow, let the bubbles go, and it wasn't drawing the medication out of the tank. Now this is the moment of truth, the really scary part, when you're actually dumping the Fluconazole into your sump and just letting it go all over the tank. It gets really cloudy, really murky, and it's just that moment in time where you're like, oh, what did I do? But you just have to believe in the Fluconazole and know that everything will work out. So as you see here, the tank got really cloudy. As you see, there's a lot of floating particles around from the undissolved Fluconazole, but it eventually goes away, and I want to say a few hours. I think it only took about 3 or 4 hours before it had all settled and started doing its work. Now 24 hours after putting the Fluconazole in the system, there's not a whole lot to see. The one thing that is nice to see is that the tips of the green hair algae is starting to turn white. And in my mind, I knew something was happening and it seemed like the Fluconazole was starting to do its work. Now day 2 is when I believe I saw the biggest change. A lot of the green hair algae was just about completely white, and some of the little spots started to disappear. So I was kind of happy and I was excited to see what happens next. By day 3, a lot of the green hair algae was disappearing. If you look all over the tank, there's a few little patches here and there, but a lot of it was disappearing. I was really happy with the results so far. I didn't do anything. I didn't get my hands in the tank. I didn't manually remove everything. It just slowly disappeared. So after a week in the tank, just about all of the green hair algae was out of my system. I was so pumped about this. It's nice to wake up in the morning, look at your tank, and there's really not much green hair algae in the tank. It all just disappeared, man. This Fluconazole seemed to be working out as I had hoped. Day 14, and as you can see, not a single patch of green hair algae in the tank. Fluconazole worked, and I am pumped. It's nice that on day 14 I finally got to turn my skimmer back on. I was happy about that. And the one thing that I found that nobody really touched on is that I didn't bother taking my chaeto out of my refugium, and my chaeto was not affected whatsoever. There wasn't a single bit of whiting on any of the tips. The ball of chaeto morphoalgae didn't get smaller. It just seemed to go along with the times like it usually does. Now, one thing I wanted to mention with Fluconazole is it didn't have any impact on my inverts, my cleanup crew, my coral, my fish, nothing. Like I said, not even the chaeto. It didn't have an effect on anything but the nuisance algae in my system. So I wanted to try this experiment because, as you have seen, everybody on YouTube and on all the forums have tried this to get rid of bryopsis. Maybe because they don't think green hair algae is much of an issue, you know, it seems easy to get rid of. But after my experience of really getting my hands wet and trying to get rid of it, I wasn't 100% happy with the results. There was still a little bit in there, but my overall look on the Fluconazole is that it works. It is simple. You just throw it in the tank, let it sit for 2 weeks, then take it out, do a water change, put your carbon back in there, turn your skimmer back on, and again, it works. So I kind of see in the future maybe a lot of tanks around the world maybe implementing this on like maybe a every 6 month or yearly basis, because again, it works. I'm going to see how, you know, the tank rolls after this. I've been changing my GFO, and I got my skimmer cranking, and my algae in the refugium is doing well. So I will certainly do, you know, some recap videos and let you know how the tank's doing after that. But again, I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times, Fluconazole works. Whether it's bryopsis or green hair algae, it all works. So if anybody's having a little issue with any type of algae in the tank, I say try it. It wouldn't hurt. And again, unless you have a huge tank and it doesn't work, then you're not out much money. All right, guys, I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys got something out of this video. You know, hope you took away something from my experiences. And if you guys try it, let me know. Let me know how it worked out for you. Leave them in the comments. All right, guys, I appreciate you all watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Your boy Mike Lemmings out. Peace.